So I have $75,000 worth of student loan debt. Don't feel sorry for me. I don't feel bad. You don't. It's a lot. And I want to talk about how I'm managing my $75,000 worth of student loans. It's a lot. Again, it's a lot. But I want to talk about how I'm managing my student loans and how you should kind of be looking at your student loans and everything, everything in between. Everything in between, as much as I can talk about, because I'm not a student loan expert. It's not really my forte. I don't keep as much, I don't pay super attention to all of the movement and things like that, but I have some friends who are wonderful at that. Shout out to Nakia from Debt Free Gonna Be. She just got her student loans paid off a couple weeks ago, I think. That's not me. That's not me. But I'm super excited. Hello, how are you? My name is Michael, aka The Bougie Budgeter, and I teach young professionals how to finance their best lives. Let's get into it. No one likes to talk about student loans. Let's start there. No one likes to talk about student loans because student loans suck. They're not fun. Not fun at all. But it's a necessary evil for some of us. And I want to start this video off by saying, if you had to get student loans because that was the only way that you were going to be able to afford to go to college, there was no other way, that is fine. Don't let anyone on Beyonce's internet try to shame you for having student loans or make you feel like you weren't working hard enough or you were stupid. For a lot of us first generation college students, for a lot of us Black and brown women, for a lot of us, student loans were the only way that we could have afforded to go to colleges, but more importantly, the only way that we could afford to go to the college that we wanted to choose, that felt good for us, that was nurturing to our environment and our growth. And if that's what you had to do, I'm proud of you. So fucking what? Don't let anybody shame you for your student loans. That has nothing to do with you. It's over. It's in the past. You already have the loans. That's my quick rant. Quick rant. I got my notes. You know I always got my notes because I would be rambling. And I already ramble if I didn't have them. But let's get to it. First thing that you want to do is find out who your provider is. And that was the first thing that I did. I had no idea who my provider was. I knew that I think I didn't really understand the difference between private loans and public loans at first either, but now I do. And I knew that I had the Parent Plus loan. And so because I had the Parent Plus loan, I knew that I had to have done federal because federal was the only one that had Parent Plus loans. So that was the only reason why I knew I had like public loans. And those words are used interchangeably. So public loans and federal loans are the same thing. It's just the words are just used interchangeably because they like to do things to make you more confused than you need to be. My provider was Great Lakes, and there are so many different providers, especially since the pandemic. There are so many different things that are happy with the providers. I know like Great Lakes lost their contract with the federal government, and so did Navient. So you always want to find out who your provider is, and you'll find that out from studentloan.gov. And then after that, you also want to find out what the status is for your student loan provider. What are they requiring? What are the changes since, if they did lose their contract with the federal government? Who is the new provider? Who did your information get transferred over to? Those are all the questions that you need to be asking. The other thing, I don't do it now since the student loans are on freeze, but when student loans were not on freeze, or when I was actively paying my student loans before the pandemic, I checked my account every month. I was checking every month just to see what changes happened. And when I first started paying my student loans, I was paying maybe $600 a month. I was making big payments, but that's what they told me to do. I didn't know about refinancing. I didn't know about debt consolidation. I didn't know about the income-driven payment plan. Even further, I didn't know for income-driven payment plan, I did not have to give my actual salary. I could use my previous year's tax returns to influence how much I was paying. So I was excited because I got my first job and I was like, oh yeah, I make $64,000 a year or $62,000 a year. And they're like, okay, well you should be able to pay $6,000. When I did pay $600 a month for like maybe 6 months. So I paid a lot of my interest off before. I had almost finished paying all of my interest before I consolidated my loans. So that was very beneficial. And I used to check my account monthly. So I just wanted to make sure that what was coming out properly, and that, I don't know, just maybe God would decrease my student loans one day. That's literally why I was checking it. That's why I was checking it for overall. Maybe it was like, it's gonna be less. I opted in for consolidation and not refinancing. Before I consolidated, I would pay bi-weekly. So I would split the payment in half, and just like I do with all of my other bills, just like how I paid off my car note, I would split the total payment. So instead of paying $600 a month, I would pay $300 every 2 weeks. And that was really beneficial too. That was just a lot easier to manage my money and manage my bills too. So I'm like, whatever makes this a lot go by faster and not make me feel like I'm broke every time I pay my student loan bill, that's what I would do. The next thing that you have to do, or how I manage, is to stay up to date. And like I said, I'm not like the best with it. I don't research student loans every day, and I don't know about all the breaking news, but I do follow people who report on the breaking news, and I listen to things that pertain to me. I know that I work in a private industry, so some of the public student loan forgiveness I don't qualify for, which is why I'm trying to get into the work for the federal government. That is like major. I'm trying to work for the federal government strictly so I can pay off these student loans. Student loan forgiveness for public servants, all the different types of like major changes, things like that. I try to keep myself abreast of it, and knowing your current status and knowing what type of student loans you have and the interest and the amount, knowing all of that data definitely helps you when you're trying to keep up, so you can know what kind of news do I need to pay attention to and what news that I don't need to pay attention to. And the last one is really big. I forgave myself. And forgiveness is such a powerful tool. Forgiving yourself for the debt that you have accumulated from living life and being unaware of how predatory all types of debt was so huge for me. And I say this with a very heavy heart, a very high-held head, that I'm so glad that I forgave myself. And not even because of the amount of debt. I forgave myself because I had to look at my situation. I am the youngest child of 6. There was no way on this earth my parents were going to be able to send 6 children to school. And could I have gone to a cheaper school? Yes. Could I have gone to a school that was more local? Yeah. But it was something about how I felt when I went on Hampton University's campus. And my mom would say the same thing over and over to me, like, you know, this is your decision. You have to be happy with the decision that you make for the college that you go to, and no matter what, we'll make a way. My parents made a way for me. Again, we did Parent Plus, so my dad also does have student loan debt that he took out for me, and I'm so grateful for it because there was no other way. And because I knew that there was no other way that we were going to be able to afford that education, I work hard every day. And I also implemented things in my life so that I can make sure to help my parents and to help pay things off for them. And I forgave myself. I forgave myself for being lazy and not applying to as many scholarships, and for failing classes, and for the times that I got distracted and I wasn't focused on the goal at hand. But at the end of the day, I came out on top. Like, I have a high paying career. I get to talk to you and teach you about money, which makes me feel so fucking good every day. Every time I turn on a camera, every video I make is made with love and compassion and understanding that sometimes debt is the answer and it's okay. We don't all have it. It's not easy, and everyone on the internet tries to make it seem like they're making over $100,000. My parents did make over $100,000, but my dad also worked 2 full-time jobs, and my mom also worked a full-time job. My dad worked 2 full-time labor-intensive jobs to put me and my siblings through school. And I'm the first one to get an advanced master's degree. I am the highest earner in my family as the youngest. And all of those things were possible because of the sacrifices that my parents made. And all of these things were possible because of the $75,000 worth of student loans. Because my earning potential greatly outweighs the 5 years that it took me to get the degree and the 5 years that it took to get into the student loan debt. And I know that that's not the end of the story for me. That's just the beginning. And that's all I have for you. I know I kind of got deep at the end, but it's so important that you are reminded that you are so much more than your student loan debt. And sometimes debt is the necessary evil. I am so proud of everything that you do, friend. We're rich friends. You're my rich friend. I'm your rich friend. And I appreciate everything that you do for me. And I hope that you appreciate everything that I do for you. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.